Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome back to the Daily List Report. While you're here, please consider subscribing to our channel. Click the little bell so you're notified of any future episode. Also, tell us how we're doing. We got a lot of regular viewers here. We want you to comment. Tell us what you think of these episodes, what we could be doing differently. Today, we have part 2 of our discussion from yesterday with Eric Mitchell. So Eric Mitchell is the most connected mortgage professional in the country, which is a great testament to how he networks and how he builds relationships, leading with value first. He's been in the industry for 21 years, which means he's seen lots of ups and downs. And he has an upcoming book, which we're going to have him back on when that comes out and talk all about it. Today, in the second part of our discussion, we're going to talk about what all of you agents out there need to be doing right now, given the current climate. There are not a lot of listings, not enough inventory, lots of buyers. It's a challenging time to represent buyers, but Eric is a big proponent of technology and how to leverage technology to make sure that you're maximizing your opportunities to win listings and to make sure in a future episode, we're going to talk about how to protect your buyers. But for now, we're going to cover his advice, his best advice actually, on how to be getting as many listings as possible during this current environment. So without further ado, here's part 2 of our interview. So let's talk a little bit about the agent side, right? So different day, same story, right? Rates are low, they fluctuate. Thank you for that explanation. I think that's actually really helpful. Inventory is super low. It's got to be a really challenging time right now to represent a buyer, I would imagine, because you're showing properties and you're writing offers and you're supporting them as a loan officer and you get outbid and you get outbid and you're writing 10, 12 offers. I mean, I've heard some crazy stories. So what are you telling your agents right now?
Well, so first of all, put yourself in the shoes of a listing agent. If you want to understand how to be more competitive, you've got to put yourself in the other person's shoes and say, okay, what's going on? What's their pain? How do I resolve the pain? How do I become more valuable in the marketplace? And you do that by resolving pain. Mm-hmm. And so, so if I'm a listing agent and I list a home at the proper amount, and I'm in a multiple offer situation as a listing agent, what's the first thing I'm looking at, right? I've got 10 offers on the table for a listing that I have, and I've got to present all 10 offers to my seller, right? So the way I'm going to structure these offers is the first thing I'm going to look at is the offer price, right? Who offered what? The dollar amounts, right? Yep. Second thing I'm looking at is who doesn't have a loan contingency. Mm-hmm. It's the second thing you're looking at.
Yes.
One of the things we've done is we do what's called a TBD underwrite. And so we'll underwrite the borrower ahead of time to the point where the realtor and the buyer can make an offer with no loan contingency. So it depends on what state you're in, right? Every state has a different standardized purchase contract, but most states have a section that talks about financing terms in the purchase contract. So if you can check the box, no loan contingency, now your offer goes to the top of the pile. Right, and how do you do that while protecting your borrower? You know, there's strategies and techniques, and we can do a whole call, Randy, on that. I mean, that would be half an hour to 45 minutes just explaining how to protect your buyer and doing all of that in those strategies. But that's one example of when you're making an offer, figure out how to make an offer with no loan contingency while still protecting your buyer. And if you can do that, then you're saving your client lots of time, energy, and also money, right? Because they're up against one all cash offer, right? And if you want to compete against all cash offer, you have to offer more. It's not you're forcing your buyer to pay more for the home that they want. And so it's not a good strategy. And so what we try and do is help realtors understand there's alternatives to doing that.
And Eric, you know, that product you mentioned, I'm not familiar with it, but conceptually it makes sense to me. That's also a sign of the times, right? You can do that because you know that even though they have a contingency, that house is going to sell just because of the nature of the market. Is that why you're in a position to do that?
No, so when we help our buyers make a no loan contingency offer, what we've done, here's what a normal loan officer does, right? They collect tax returns, bank statements, and pay stubs. They input all this stuff in the system, the loan officer does, right? They run a software underwriting approval called a DU or an LP, right? It's a Fannie or Freddie software underwriting approval. Mm-hmm. And then they issue that underwriting approval from the software to the realtor and the buyer saying, hey, you're good to go. Here's a pre-approval letter. Here's a pre-approval package, right? Mm-hmm. But an underwriter, an actual physical underwriter, a person, never saw a file.
Right.
So then the question becomes, did the loan officer put the data in properly? Did the loan officer factor in all of the unknowns? Did the loan officer get a written verification of employment from the employer to verify whether there was overtime or bonuses paid? Can we use the bonuses? Or none of that stuff was done. And so now they go and open it into an escrow. Now the file goes into an underwriter, and then the underwriter issues underwriting conditions. Then you start getting into the weeds. But why aren't you getting into the weeds ahead of time? So what we do is we get the written verification of employment, we source and season the down payment money, gift letters, all that before they make the offer. Right? We're done. We're not re-reviewing the information. The only thing we need is appraisal and title. Right. We're right now today in this marketplace, we're contract to funding in 12 days.
Wow.
Right? And I don't mean this to be an infomercial. I'm just saying to realtors in the marketplace, these are things that will make you more competitive. Is being able to understand how do I make an offer with no loan contingency with my buyers and still protect them, right? Because the purpose of a contingency is to protect the buyer.
Yes.
It's not to protect the seller.
No, not at all. Yep.
Yeah, but sellers don't want that. Sellers want as little contingency as possible because they care about selling their home. They don't care about protecting the buyer.
Right. Yeah.
You have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the buyer, but by doing so, you're forcing your buyer to pay $10,000 to $50,000 more for the house than they could have. So how do you still protect your buyer, but be more valuable in the marketplace? And so what we do is that full underwrite for the client ahead of time, so they can make an offer with no loan contingency.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really interesting. I definitely want to have you back on and do a show on protecting the buyer. I think that's a really, really good and an important topic. And I think in particular right now, last question for you, Eric, for today is, so every agent out there is being taught, well, has been taught forever, right? Get listings. But, in particular right now, like get listings, it's a really tough time to be a buyer's agent or represent buyers because of what's happening. How does an agent get listings? It's easier said than done, isn't it? Like, what are some of the things that they can do? You talked maybe about looking at the data, like, how do you look at that topic?
Leverage technology, right? And so here's what I believe to be true. I'm good at what I do. I'm going to focus on what I do for a living. And so what I do for a living is we're a mortgage company, right? So we're going to focus on being a mortgage company. What I'm not is a marketing company. Right. So using list reports as an example, right? Like we outsource a piece of our marketing to list reports because what list reports is a marketing company. And so you're going to be better at it than I am because that's how you do all day long. Right. And so we outsource that piece to you because you're better at it. And because you're better at it, it's less expensive for us to leverage your abilities than it would be for us to build it ourselves. Yeah. So it's actually less expensive. And so you want to leverage technology. So as a realtor, how do I leverage technology to get listings? Okay, so there are technology companies right now that exist so if you've ever heard the conspiracy theories, Randy, about Facebook is listening to you.
Yes,
and
of
Alexa
course.
is listening to you, right? So they're not conspiracy theories, they're real.
No.
They are, right? It's audio being transcribed and turned into advertisements. I've seen the technology with my own eyes. Right? I've worked with vendors that are using the same software with different applications. But there are technology companies that exist right now that are monitoring people that are typing in, homes for sale in my market, right? And so if you're a homeowner, right, and you're on your home computer and you're typing in and you're going to Zillow, right, or you're going to Redfin or you're going to Realtor.com or you're typing in homes for sale in my market. Why are you doing that? You're thinking about selling your house.
Yep.
You haven't decided it, but you're thinking about it. Well, these technology companies can tell you which houses are doing it. Right? A homeowner, John and Sally Smith at 1234 Main Street are thinking about selling their house. They're in your farm area. You should contact John and Sally Smith right now. They're thinking about it.
Right.
And so how do you, and so then I hear realtors say, well, I'll put them on an automated email campaign as soon. No, like that's not going to get a home seller to use you as a listing agent. Creating an automated email campaign. No, right? There are very specific strategies that you can deploy that would be very effective in getting multiple listings every month if you leverage technology. where I see realtors struggling, if I can make one wish for realtors, it would be to adopt technology, right? And they don't. Like if you look at a demographic, one single demographic in the United States of America that struggles in adopting technology, the number one demographic is realtors. Right? They really struggle with it. And so why? And that's where, my book, The Why of Money, and all of my opinions come from. It's just a lack of clarity as to what's in it for them.
Yeah.
Like what's in it for you if you adopt technology. And
right.
when you have
because if they understood that, right? If they understood that, Eric, then they would break through walls to understand and adopt technology.
Right. Yeah, because it's not about, like, you don't need to be a software coder to adopt technology. Right. And one of the greatest stories I ever heard was, do you need to know how to change your oil of your car to be able to drive a car? No.
Absolutely not.
I can take the car to someone else and they change the oil for me. I need to know how to press the button on. I need to know how to turn the steering wheel. I need to know how to step on the gas and step on the brake. I need to check the mirrors. That's what I need to be able to do to drive a car. I don't need to know how the engine works.
Yeah.
I don't need to change my own oil. I don't need to fix my car. If a light comes on my dash, I take the car in.
Yeah.
What does a light mean? I don't know. A light came on.
Yeah.
That's all. I know if a light came on. And so if you understand that about driving a car, it's the same with technology. Right? Using list reports as an example. Do I need to understand how list reports does what list reports does, or do I just let them do it? Just let them do it. I don't know how you do it, and I don't care. Right? I don't have the brain space for it. I just know that you get it done, therefore.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Eric, it's also a tremendously empowering thing. So we've been doing a bunch of episodes on this show with Ashley, who's on our team, Ashley Muzak. Just bits and pieces of use this piece of technology, Canva, Instagram stories, whatever it is, right? It's a tremendously empowering thing as well. When somebody who was afraid of something tries it, realizes that it's not that difficult, and produces something, I think that's a very great feeling.
Really good friends of mine, a husband and wife realtor team in Los Angeles, over the weekend, they jumped out of an airplane, right? And so they'd never done it before. They wanted to break through some walls in their life as a husband and wife team, right? And so they decided, you know what, we're gonna do something crazy. They jumped out of an airplane. And some people say, why would you do that? Because it breaks your brain free of barriers.
Yes.
Right? What you thought was impossible, your brain now goes, wait a second, what else did I think was impossible that's actually quite achievable? And so there's three sets of activities that I've identified that all salespeople need to function on, realtors included. And the first one is generate leads. Number two is manage leads using technology. And number three is convert leads by being valuable. Right? And so generating leads is referrals, online leads, whatever way you're generating business, you have to generate interest. The phone has to ring, right? Somehow, some way. You have to generate interest. You have to manage that interest using technology. And so if you're not using technology to manage your business, and specifically, let's start with a CRM. Right? So as a realtor, if your daily activities don't function around a CRM, you're already dead.
Yeah. There's
no chance of you driving any business of any kind in any way or any capacity. There's no chance if your daily activities don't revolve around your calendar and a CRM.
Agreed.
You can't do it. And then how do you convert business? By being valuable. And so, by being valuable, a lot of people say, well, what I'm good at is, no, right there, that's not, you're not valuable. Nobody cares about you. They care about what you do and what's in it for them. And they don't care about you. And so, talking about, well, I've been in the business X amount of years and I'm going to do an open house and I'm nobody cares. You're already, again, you missed it. Your script is wrong. Your value propositions are wrong. Nobody cares. I don't care that you've been in real estate for 20 years. I care what you can do for me. Right? Yep. And so tell me what you can do for me. And that better be your script. And if it's not, then find people that have that script and adopt the script. right? Learn from people it's always fascinating to me when you look at the NAR stats. We've talked about this before, Randy, right?
Yeah.
But 50% of realtors stop being realtors every year, 80% of realtors stop being realtors every 5 years, 83% of realtors earn an annual income below the poverty line. And I watch realtors learning from those same realtors and adopting those same methodologies, and then they all look at each other going, this doesn't work. Well, yeah, because you guys are all learning how not to do real estate. Why don't you go to the number one realtor in your market and learn what they're doing? I promise you it's different than what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you do that same activity, you get that same result. It's that simple, right? Just do the right activities, you get the right results. But we have to choose why we want that. Like, okay, so you're going to make $1 million a year. Great. What are you going to do with $1 million? And that's what, Randy, I'm telling you, and it's fascinating to me, right? 9 out of 10 people I talk to, if you had $1 million, what would you do with it? I don't know. That's why you're not making $1 million.
Yep.
Because you don't know. You don't even know what you do with the money, so you don't want it bad enough, so you're not going to do the activities. That's it. There it is.
I love those. And okay, we're definitely going to do another episode on taking care of your buyers, right? But also another one on the why of money, because we touched on some of those before, Eric, but they're such good principles, and I want to get those things out here. So
sure,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I always love talking to you, Eric. I love your perspective. It's sort of a no BS, just get right to the point, which I think I appreciate, and I hope that those listening today appreciate as well.
Thanks, man. I try. I'm not a big fan of fluff.
No, you're definitely not. I would not call you a fluffy guy in any way. That's awesome. All right, Eric. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time, as always, to do this. I love talking to you. I will have you back real soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Randy.
All right, Eric. We'll see you soon. All right. Well, there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. He cuts through any BS and gets right to the point, and I think has tremendous advice. So we covered a lot of ground today. We talked about what's going on in the market. We talked about, as an agent, what you should be doing. And frankly, at the end there, I think a lead into what could be a longer conversation around what you need to be doing to be successful, right? And I think one of the areas that Eric and I are very aligned on is that at a very fundamental level, you have to understand your why. If you don't understand your why, nothing else matters. So call it a North Star, a guiding light, whatever it is, you have to understand your why. And he and I did talk about this before in his book. There's different levels of that. Some people are just super motivated on their own. I talked to a great agent in Michigan, who has a traditional immigrant story. Eric, we didn't talk about that. We'll talk about that again, but it reminded me of Dan Milstein's story. She came here with nothing, and she came here being exposed to people in the immigrant culture who worked really hard, and she said, I'm going to outwork everybody else, and she got her first $1 million listing, which she had never had anything close to that before, and she went there with the confidence and the work ethic, and she got it. So there's all sorts of really great things in understanding, first and foremost, what your why is at a very, very deep and fundamental level, and everything else will work out from there. So anyways, that's it for today. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, get after it, understand your why, and we'll talk to you soon.